was one of Sergeant York's famous quotes. Sergeant York grew up on a Tennessee mountaintop and lived from 1887 to 1964. He devoted his life to God and was an important military figure in World War I. Alvin York, who was the oldest of 11 siblings, was as capable as any man who had experienced the hardship of war. Growing up in a mountain cabin, he and his family couldn't make a very good living, so they had to work hard on their farms and hunt the mountain terrain. This made Alvin tough and resilient. He had the gift of a steady hand and a sharp eye. He and his wild friends usually led him off course, but everything changed when he found Christ. Alvin was drafted for World War I. However, before fighting the Germans, he had to fight a war in his mind. The Bible made him think differently because Alvin was always a fighter, but the Bible told him to love his neighbors and even his enemies. When his draft card came in the mail, his heart was torn. He wanted to fight for his country, but the Bible said not to fight. The draft card asked questions about what position he wanted to have, and he had a simple answer: yes, I don't want to fight. Multiple times he tried to be excused from fighting, but every single time it was denied. In 1917, he was forced to join the army, and he was placed in Fort Gordon, Georgia. He was a mystery to his friends because his friends saw an accurate, tough mountain man who didn't want to fight. He ended up talking to his battalion commander, Major Braxton. He was a dedicated Christian, and he showed Alvin that not all fighting was wrong if you were fighting for the right purpose. Alvin was given a 10-day leave to go home and pray for wisdom. When he returned, he was convinced that God wanted him to fight for his country. Alvin fought many battles and eventually got promoted to corporal. But now it was October 8, 1918, and he and his troops were off to drive the Germans from their positions. While trudging through the terrain, suddenly they heard gunfire. Bullets were flanking from well-hidden artillery guns, and I'll tell you, these guns were shooting straight. Corporal York told the troops that the only way they might have a chance was to slowly work around the turrets and take them out from behind. While they were doing this, all of a sudden they were facing 35 German troops. The Americans were able to react quicker than the Germans, and they pointed their rifles at them and shouted, "Surrender." Now they had a whole other problem. They had to guard the German soldiers and fight off the artillery guns. Corporal York escorted the wounded and his men and the German soldiers to a well-barricaded area. He, with a couple of other troops, finalized the battle. The head officer of the German soldiers noticed Corporal York's sharpshooting skills. He told York that if he stopped shooting, he would order the regiment to surrender. York agreed, and he ordered the men to surrender. Surprisingly, 132 German soldiers emerged from well-veiled positions. With 17 troops, York had captured 35 artillery guns, 132 German soldiers. When he marched back home, he was promoted to sergeant and given the Medal of Honor and almost 50 other medals. Alvin was a strong, courageous man. He found God following his word and obeying him while fighting in